folks. I'm here with my good friend John, who is the proud caretaker of this 1944 GPW, true survivor. It's still being used today the way it should be. So John, give us some background on this, please.
Okay, Dave. Well, first of all, don't mind if I get a little nervous. I never did this before, so Dave, let's start with this. When I was about 12, maybe 14, which would be somewhere in the neighborhood of 1956, is when I started to really understand and know that my grandfather, Harry, and my dad, John Sr., and of course, a good friend of ours was Boots, and they all came around on Sundays, and we were in pretty rough shape. This was not on, and my uncle, Charlie, had an opportunity because he was a woodworker. He built this compartment for the cap, and mainly this corner is what he worked many hours on to get it in good shape so that we can get people in here. And then the first thing I do remember, 1956, is 5 adults behind a 1949 Chrysler, Dave, hauled this thing 188 miles to Kane, Pennsylvania from Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, all of them in the Chrysler, and this was packed with all their supplies and goods in there, and they would put this thing in a garage for 2 weeks until bear season was over and deer season was over, and then they would haul it back to Mechanicsburg. But the key number that I want to tell you is 1956. My father had the opportunity, that's John Sr., to shoot a 497-pound bear, and how they got it out was, Dave, if you remember correctly, there was a big winch right here. They had that winch on, this is all brand new, they redid that on Sundays, and they put the cable up over a huge tree, down to the bear, then raised it, hand cranked, that's what these are for, Dave. They hand cranked that bear up and drove the Jeep underneath and laid the bear across this hood. That's how they got it out of the mountain. Luckily, they had just saplings to drive through. After that situation, most of the time, this was used at a garage, which my father owned, and I used it when I was 14, 15 to learn to drive, to get right before I was 16 and got my license. Behind the garage, I would take this and do my driving lessons, and he let me do it because it was not on, I could not take it on the road. But it was licensed. It was licensed to about 1972, and then it brought it to Perry County. Now in the 50s, this old girl made it down to Perry County, and my grandfather Harry, he used it every hunting season to go up into his tree stand. And then from grandfather Harry, then it went to my father, and that's the same way as the title's going to go. It was my father's, came right from whenever the pre-war Jeep, and then it went to my grandfather, title that way. Then it went, now it's back to Harry, and then back to John, and now it's to me. And then my son Sean, who is in his 50s, it's going to be his, same way as our property that we have here in Perry County. This has been used every deer season in this area. We've had real good luck, and as you can see, the old hood here has been in because of laying our deer across that. In the meantime, at Thanksgiving, grandkids, kids, pow in the back, and we just have a ball running the Jeep through all the trails here on our land. We're just so fortunate that we have a vehicle like this and have so many people that wanted to know if we ever sell it. Well, I'll tell you right now, it's not going to be sold, and if it ever is, it's going to be to a friend of mine called Dave. He has first crack, and he'll get it. It's not very pretty because it was painted with a brush, not a roller, a brush from Sinclair oil and gasoline and Sinclair green. So that's what we used, and this is the original paint that's on here right now. That's the original stuff that was done back in the 50s, so it held up quite well. We always have a chain with us in case we do get stuck. And just this morning, I just took the chains off of all 4 wheels because I didn't know what our winter was going to be like. Well, it was a fizzle. We didn't need it because of that. It's a runner. It starts right up. So, hey Dave, is there anything that you want me to add here on this little video?
Yeah. You remember the very first time they took it out before they had the top built? We went up in the mountains. It was pouring down rain. It was your dad, my dad, and you and I were sitting in the back on those the benches, the wheel wells, whatever you want to call it back there. We were sitting out with our feet sticking out, and we were soaking wet, and we found a bunch of turtles. You remember that?
I sure do. But that's the fun of it. They would come whenever we were small and growing up, 14, 15, and we'd always take rides. He'd come and visit us at the house. What a joy. Like I said, it's not as pretty as Dave's 1947, but it's a glorious machine to me, and one that I will always have memories about. And thanks to you, Dave.
And it's a true survivor. I mean, and the great part is it's still being used today, and it's been maintained. It's never been restored. So.
Just want to continue on with a little bit of nostalgia about this old girl. Why, mechanically, my father could work on this thing with his eyes closed. I can only do things like put points, plugs, keep water and antifreeze in it, pump up the tires, things like that. But I could not repair the brakes. And there for a couple years, we were deer hunting and taking the kids around in this thing with no brakes until my friend Dave, he got 3 of them working. So now we have 3 brakes, and it really has improved the driving safety of this vehicle. So I just want to insert that into our conversation with nostalgia with this type of equipment that we have. And then one other thing I want to mention is the grandkids always love to ride in the back, and giggling and wanting more rides every time they're here over Thanksgiving vacation. Especially Charity and Jacob and Gavin and Lisa and Catherine and Christine, along with, of course, Shirley, my wife, and always had a great time with that. It was a family situation, and makes water come to your eyes whenever you start thinking about this old girl. But thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Hope everyone enjoyed this video, and I want to thank them for watching. And I especially want to thank my good friend John for taking his time to do this video and document this great old surviving GPW.